I came into the Marienfluss to start a business and to make money. That is what I have said to everybody. Where I wanted to set up a camp here, and not knowing anything better, they said, well, you know, build your camp. And that is what we have then started to do. Well, my relationship with Kahuku land probably dates back to my military years when I came to do training in the specific area where I today have the camp. And when I stopped at the river there, I said, that's it. That's where I'm going to start my next career. I'm a guide. I am doing 2, 3, sometimes more longer tours in the area, but just covering Kahuku land. This is primarily not a hiking trip to be done for wildlife. It is more about the adventure, scenery. 12 days, 220 kilometers.
He must have had a very difficult childhood. And I think the military was a possibility for him to prove not only to himself but to his whole family that he really has it in him not to be the black sheep of the family and not to be the child of the devil or something. That was apparently a remark one of the relatives made when he was just born. They came and saw him there, and then he told me that often. And he carried that with him all the time. And even now, even today, if they took pleasure in doing things like he explained they were doing, no wonder he's like that. No wonder you have to dig so deep to get to the soft parts.
Since I was 14 years old when I have decided to join the military, in my heart, a professional soldier. That's all I've worked for. To be a good soldier for my country, to be a good officer. I was born in the south of Namibia. I grew up on a farm where as a child I never had a lot of contact with people. I grew up as a naughty kid. So my father was hard on me. And the mother was the only one that had sympathy for me, that prayed for me, that kept me from running away into the wilderness. So I had a good relationship with my mother. Every evening after dinner, my father reading out of the Bible, and then he talked a bit about what he has read, and then we all went down on our knees, and we quite often fell asleep while he was praying. Most of the Afrikaans-speaking people grew up in the Dutch Reformed Church. Very strict rules and regulations according to the Bible. So we were in the church all the time. We never had black people as part of our lives. They were never at the same school, they were never at the same post office, they were never in the same shop, basically. We grew up totally separately from, and that was our politics. Blacks were not necessarily seen as communist, but those people that have supported them, that was always it was dangerous. It was communism, and that was a threat. It was a total onslaught at the time against South Africa. It was blacks against whites, as simple as that. I wanted to become at least a general. I ended with the rank of a lieutenant colonel under the command of Special Forces headquarters in Pretoria. But I have served in all the Special Forces units in South Africa. The ultimate to aim for, the mystique, clandestine, secret type of outfit. My ex-colleagues, very few of them remained in the military. Most of them resigned. A lot of them has become mercenaries, first in Angola, Liberia, and a lot of them are presently in Iraq and Afghanistan.
A mercenary is a soldier of fortune. They have been trained in security work.
I went to Iraq. I went actually there for about 6-7 months for normal security work. I manufacture APC vehicles, armored personnel carriers. My main target area now is still Iraq. I supply quite a lot of security companies with these vehicles.
With my course, close to 600 people applied. And by the end of the 9 months, there were only 17 left. So they are the selected few. A lot of us certainly went there for the action. We were adrenaline junkies. Yeah. You jumped in or you were dropped this time of the afternoon or later or into darkness. You walked in 20, 30 kilometers, you planted some mines, you walked back 20, 30 kilometers. You got picked up the next morning at first light. There was no other Special Forces unit in the world that could compare with us. Nobody. Not the Americans, not the English, nobody. We were simply the best because we were in the bush all the time. Doing one operation after the other. So we had it all in our hands. It's like the All Blacks playing rugby all the time. The more you play, the more experience you get. The more you train, the better you become. And we had that wonderful, wonderful battlefield in the whole of Southern Africa. So we were far. I mean, people came here, the Israelis came here, the SAS came here. They all came here for training, to learn from us.
The worst thing that can happen to a troop was the day when they know the instructors who are appointed that Koos Verwey is in charge of that course. That could be the most worst days in their lives.
He's always been tough. He was hard on his troops, but he was very loyal to them. Loyalty was one of his number one points. He would sort them out. He wouldn't pass it on to anyone else. So instead of charging them for misconduct, he just boogered them up.
I broke both my legs. I broke both my arms. I broke my back with parachuting. I had a boat running over my right shoulder. I had a bullet through here in my left leg. And I had a few pieces of shrapnel in my back. But serious, never so serious that I couldn't continue working because we were dedicated. We wanted to be in there. We didn't only fight in the the north of Namibia or in Angola, we were involved in other places in Southern Africa as well. And the enemy was not only SWAPO. We came into conflict with MPLA, the military of Angola. Some operations were conducted in Botswana, Mozambique, Zambia, Zimbabwe. The ANC was always a big target of the South African Defence Force. So we had different enemies in different countries. Contact is a contact. Your aim is to kill as maximum as possible people in the shortest time with the resources that you have at hand. And it's noisy.
Psychological evaluation before operations, after operations, and during the normal run-of-the-mill life. You have to make sure that all the screws are in place and that they don't go loose. They never liked it. Very few of the operators liked being involved in this.
The aim was not to get in contact with the enemy. The aim was to do operations that the bigger military could not do. And to kill people, that was the purpose of the infantry or other arms of the military. There were, however, circumstances where we did get involved in a contact, and then you had to look after yourself. But yeah, we have also done offensive operations where the aim was to kill people, whether it was in a military base or in an ambush. I didn't really think too much about it. It was probably also the sort of thing that you say, well, something you had to do. And it's something that one don't really want to think back to. When it became clear that we would become independent, I decided to leave for the simple reason I could not see my way open to serve in the military, which was not a professional army. That's why I left, because there wouldn't have been a career left for me. I had to go. I liked the peace, the quietness, the solitude, and I just had to find a place where I could settle and live my own life. The top part is my own house. It took me a couple of years to build, but now it is more or less finished, at least from the outside. I still need a bit of furniture to put inside there. At least I sleep there for some years.
Wie wil toe gaan brengen? Wie wil ik beliezen?
Nee, geef R5.000. Waar denk je met ik geld uit mijn eigen zakken af voor een nieuwe cabaretter?
Nee, om stel.
Ik haal die geld uit mijn zak uit niet. Vergeet dit. Vergeet dit.
Oye, yo me dice, a mi México, baje pona, tiene que marido, bambongorot, para no me va a ver tu marido, ma, bambongorot, para nabi.
Voor petrol, 50 liter. Amper al klaar, R400. Maar dan moet hij niet voor mij zo'n bokje brengen als ik voor mijn 2 jerrycannen breng. Ik ben dan met mijn groot bok. Bloody groot bok. Vet. Nee, maar... Lekker vet bok. Oké. Nou ja, let's go. These bush mechanics are bloody good, boy. Let's move on. Friendship is probably more important than concrete signs that we as Westerners like to see. So they see that sometimes is a bit of their right to get help from you. Because they think that you have the means because you run a place like we do. You drive around in a car, you bring the guest out. A Moana is a very, very rich person, and in their own culture, that type of person must help the rest of the, let's call it a poor community. Not that you can classify them as poor. So, one, do not look for direct signs.
This is our school. Grade 1 up to grade 3, they only learn their mother tongue, that is Sochiherera and Njimba. And grade 4 up to 7 is only English.
This sort of unofficial adoption of a girl that, you know, has a totally different background, a totally different culture. But he saw something in her that made him try to give her a better life. I think it's very much a sign that human beings want to show affection, want to be gentle, but they also need to receive it back. Even though I don't think Koos would now agree with that, it's again about proving a point, I think. And he did that even before it became a fashion with Angelina Jolie and Madonna to go and adopt black children, you know. He did that before.
You must just stay on the road because it will be a bit embarrassing if we drive over a bloody Mopani train and it's all on the TV. You know? The woman that I married also came from a very strict Afrikaner background. Very, very strict. One of the reasons why I got divorced was my present lifestyle. Quite a couple of my Christian-like aunts and uncles has called me and told me that I'm a disgrace for the family and I'm leaving a very good woman and it's a sin against God and the church and, you know, and I had to get through that and just say, well, that's how it is. Those strings that always had the same accord just didn't play the same tune any longer. And then you had to make a decision. It's either a woman or your own life. And in my case, it was always my own life that was more important for me. And I believe that I'm happy, I can make other people happy around me as well. So I had to make the choice and got divorced. We are good friends, and I think that is also very important for my two children. That at least they can see that their father and mother do not hate each other. In the beginning they suffered, especially my son. My son and Joanine are actually fairly good friends. Maybe it is one of the reasons why my daughter is a bit hesitant to come up to see this relationship in reality. although my son has been here many times, but he is still very much influenced by the Afrikaans-speaking community in Windhoek. Much more my daughter than my son. And I think they are still, to a certain extent, in a bit of a ditch with the way they see the role of whites and how they perceive black people. And that is why it is very important for me to bring them up here, so that they can see that you can have a relationship with black people on many different levels.
Voor ons verkiesing het Koos gesê, ons moet net onthou dat Namibië dan nou wel Suidwes op daardie stadium is 'n deel van Afrika. En wanneer die Afrikaan regeer, kan jy net verwag dat dit op die Afrika-styl gedoen sal word. Dit was altyd wat hy gesê het. So wat ons daarmee saam kan sê is, solank jy of so vinnig jy hierdie mense kan aanvaar, hoe makliker leef jy in Afrika.
I met Koos, that is now probably 17 years ago when I met him for the first time. And we actually had a relationship, a close relationship for 10 years. And then it ended. And somehow I was very, very much determined not to let it end just like that after we split.
The impact that I had when I met her, I was still very much true Afrikaner, right-wing probably, and she came from the more moderate German open society. I think she brought a lot of openness into my life.
When I met Koos, who is really a wild man, he had never left the African continent, which I didn't find so bad. But what I found really unbelievable was that he firmly stated he does not need to see anything else. He does not need it. And I found that very upsetting. So, but anyway, then in the end, he did come, so that was good.
What I've enjoyed the overseas trip was the fact that everything is working properly in Europe and Canada in comparison with Africa, where nothing seems to work properly. To see that technology can really help people to develop in a great way, I have really enjoyed that. There's a box there, so it is probably medical people, if you ask me.
Where are you from?
Ministry of Health.
If they would call us a week before the time, I will let the people know. Yeah. There's people as well. They know bloody well our particulars. Yeah. But unfortunately, these people don't work on planning of weeks ahead. They just decide now it's the time and they go. I mean, what does it cost to bring this bloody chopper there?
The children is just there, it is not far.
How many are living?
Okay.
Kom eens voor de berg gestapt. Stijgen zo uit de kom uit op. Hi, Koos Verwij, pleased to meet you.
Jorrit, I have some stories about you.
What stories? You better be bloody careful, man.
They were good.
Thank you. Take care. Safe flight back now. I just love that sound, man. Yes. Hey! Fokken verwy, easy to say. Nikki, because people don't like to be told the truth. If people, for example, drive off-road in this valley, why must I go and ask them, why did you drive off the road? They know bloody well that they are not supposed to drive off this road. They know bloody well that they are not supposed to bury their rubbish here. They all know. So the fact that they come in here and regard it as their place, and it is especially so with the South Africans that fought in the war here, they think they can just drive around where they want to. They can treat our local people like scum. Then I come up for our local people, for our environment, and people don't like it. I have no hesitation to take people on and tell them exactly what I think of them, and people don't like to hear that. They can continue to call me that. It doesn't bother me at all. I actually like that. I never had a lot of feeling for black soldiers in the beginning. Well, there was always a difference between a black soldier that was close to me and a black outside. They were just blacks. But a black soldier, they became my comrades. They became the people that I trained, that I fought, that I fought with, that helped me. It was only in the later years that I started to cooperate and operate with them directly, that I became aware that there are, in fact, very, very good black soldiers. And more than once, they got me out. Some of them died next to me. And there are special qualities that we have lost a long, long time ago already. I'll give you one example. My sergeant in my unit was a man of the name of Pele, going back to the old soccer player, Pele. One afternoon we got dropped at a place and we had to walk roughly 25 kilometers, and me being the leader, I knew exactly where I wanted to go. It was all worked out. So I navigated in to a specific point. And after we have done what we were supposed to do, we had to go back to exactly the same point for a pickup the next morning. And Pele said to me, "Commandant, put your compass away." Now that man has never been before in that area, never. It was the first time. And he walked back to that exact spot. 25 kilometers, pitch darkness. And that ability we don't have. And that probably has opened my eyes a bit. Looks a lot better. I have stitched up people here without any... It was raw bleeding the other day. It was full of attar and stuff. Now it's a lot better.
In many ways he's changed. I mean, you might not believe that, but when I got to know Koos, he did not believe that evolution was the way that the environment and nature developed. He said it is the work of God because it's in the Bible.
Now, it's a hard statement to say that I classify the work of missionaries and the NGOs in Africa on the same level, but that is more or less how I feel after having seen what missionaries are doing under the flag of the Bible and the flag of God for African people, that so-called donor money, they pour it into a bottomless pit. It's like a child that you just give and give and give all the time. It's a way of the world to keep Africa at bay. It's a way of the world to keep the Africans down on their knees. And sometimes there are a lot of things that African leaders say that I don't agree with, but there is an awakening by many African leaders, and they voice this, that this is neocolonialism. And a lot of people is going to crucify me for a statement like this, but I'm quite prepared to stand up for that. Put the bath back for the last time, please.
What?
That bath. That is now the third time I'm asking you to put it back. But you put the baskets in the plastic bag, Johnny?
Yeah.
Okay. With Janine, it is certainly not always easy. We have two complete different backgrounds, cultural, language-wise. The fact that she is coming from Angola makes her a big asset. She knows the people, she knows the area. There's no reason why she cannot be trained as a guide and help me on those trips into Angola, or even if later do it by herself. Even in managing a setup like this in my absence, I mean, already now she is doing the whole Curio place here, she's doing the books for it, she's handling all the money. She is receiving guests at the gate already. She shows them around. She is taking them out on small hikes in the area. So the scope is there. There is a lot of possible work for her, even if I stop doing what I'm doing.
At the school, we have beans, we have pumpkin, we have watermelon, we have papaya, we have mealies, we have peanuts, and I think you can see the beans that is growing. That is for the children, they have planted. I think they learn a bit of agriculture, and they give water every day, and it's growing nicely. Our parents have not been at the school. It is why I want to come out now in the community to tell them what is really going on. I want to work in the area with my community to explain how to work with soil and how we must prevent our trees and everything, because there is nobody that really knows those things.
Volgende zondag of maandag kom ik terug. Hi, Johnny. Take care, everything of the best, study well, and read your work at home and write properly. Okay. I didn't have a lot of sympathy from my father's side. My father didn't say a lot. He was never a person that was openly positive or negative. He only expressed for the first time proudness in me about 2 months ago. When he walked in the camp, in my camp, Sintro, and he spent a week with me. That was the first time in his life.
As 'n klein seun, soos enige 'n seun is mos maar stout, maar hy het 'n baie sterk wil van kleins af gehad. Ek onthou dit so goed, sy ma het dit ook nog gesê. Toe slaan hy soos op sy bors, hy sê ek wil nog 'n kaptein word in die weermag. Nou ja, hy het 'n kaptein geword en hy is nog 'n rang hoër gegaan as 'n kaptein.
Was jy bewus van Koos se prestasies in die weermag?
Nee, ek was glad nie heeltemal, nee, ek was nie bewus daarvan nie. Wat ek wel, en ek wil nou nie die getalle daar noem nie, was dat iemand vir my op 'n aand, terwyl ek nog by spoorweë gewerk het, moes ek hierdie waterpype hier agter die Waterberg op 'n plek, en ek kom toe die aand daar so, en 'n jong man vra vir my, oom, het jy 'n seun in die weermag? Met die naam van Kobus, ek sê ja. Toe vertel hy nou vir my iets, wat vir my skokkend was. En toe het ek besef, wat hy werkelijk seker moes deurgaan, of deurgegaan het, om so sulke dinge te doen, maar ek wil nou nie daaroor uitbrei nie.
Wat dink jy van Koos se werk op Kamp Sinkro?
Toe ek nou daar was, toe het ek nou besef, die verstandverhouding wat hy met die mense het. Ek het toe ek teruggekom het, toe het ek vir mense hier gesê, ons praat nou, ons is beskaafd, ons bly in 'n beskaafde deel hier, maar ek is nie so seker daarvan nie. Mens moet na mense toe gaan wat lewe, 'n lewe soos my was daar. Dan kan jy vir jouself afvra, maar is ek nou 'n beter mens as hulle? Ek dink nie so nie.
Hoe kom jy oor die weg met Shwanine?
Ek is nie skaam om dit te sê nie, sy was 'n paar dae by my, het sy oornag hier by my. En sy is op haar plek, sy is netjies, ek is baie tevrede. Ek sal haar enige tyd, as hy het sou gebring het nou, kan sy my hier gebly het by my. En sy is baie oordentlik. Regtig.
Ons is almal net jammer dat pa nie gisterand 'n goeie whisky saam met ons gedrink het. Dis weer daar trek. I have never apologized to anybody for what I have done. I also never will. From both sides, a lot of people has been killed, a lot of atrocities. I do not think there is purpose in making war. But I can also say that if it was not for my 17 years as a soldier, I never would have been able to live at this place all by myself for so many years. And I never would have came to realize that black people are in fact as human as what I am. I had to go that full circle. I had to make war. I had to kill people. I'm not going to ask anybody for forgiveness what I have done. I have no intention to. When the end of the war came, the politicians turned their backs on the soldiers and the policemen. And they said they didn't know. They didn't know. They knew. They all knew. All of them. They lied. So how can they ask forgiveness? I'm sorry. If I ask forgiveness, then my forgiveness is in what I do and not in words. I think that is the only way that any black person will ever accept you. I'm grateful that I could become human again. Because in the military, sorry that I'm a bit sentimental, but you grow hard. You really grow hard. And I came here as a hard person. Everything had to be done. I was originally very strict, very hard on my staff members. Everything had to be done in a quick way. Blacks for me, when I came here, were just black people. And I had to came to this valley to become myself, to get away from my previous culture. I'm grateful that I can sit in wide open spaces where my thoughts can just go wide. Now the changes will come. These younger kids that we have in the area, they will go through it. There is no way that they can escape it. I have no intention to make war again. I have buried my weapons.